I want to start with a simple truth that most people spend their entire lives trying to figure out. For years, people chase money. They chase higher salaries, better jobs, faster success, and bigger opportunities. But after decades of studying success, interviewing high achievers, and building businesses myself, I discovered something surprising. Money does not chase the people who chase it. Money chases value. And the moment you truly understand this principle, your entire life can change. Let me ask you something before we go any further. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to attract money almost effortlessly, while others work incredibly hard and still struggle financially? Think about that for a moment, and I want you to do something right now. Go down to the comments and answer this question honestly. Do you believe money comes from hard work or from creating value? Type your answer below. I read those comments, and your answer might reveal more about your financial future than you realize. Now let me share something with you that changed my life. When I was younger, I struggled. I worked difficult jobs. I loaded freight trucks. I washed dishes. I worked long hours and earned very little money. At that time, I believed what many people believe, that the harder you work physically, the more money you should make. But reality quickly taught me something different. Some of the hardest working people in the world earn the least money. Construction workers, cleaners, farm workers, and laborers often work exhausting hours, yet their income remains limited. Why? Because income is not determined by effort alone. Income is determined by the value of the results you produce. That insight completely changed how I looked at work, success, and money. The marketplace does not pay you for how hard you try. The marketplace pays you for the problems you solve. This is one of the most important ideas you will ever hear if you want financial success. If you solve small problems, you earn small money. If you solve big problems, you earn big money. And if you solve problems for millions of people, you can create extraordinary wealth. This is why entrepreneurs, innovators, and skilled professionals often earn far more than people who simply exchange time for money. They are not just working, they are creating value. Now I want you to pause and ask yourself a powerful question. What problem do I solve for others? Because your income in the future will be directly connected to how valuable that answer is. One of the biggest mistakes people make is focusing only on what they want to earn. They say, I want to make more money. But very few people ask the more important question, how can I become more valuable? You see, when you focus on earning, you stay stuck in the same place. But when you focus on becoming valuable, your opportunities expand automatically. Employers want you, customers trust you, businesses need you, and the money begins to follow naturally. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine two people working in the same company. One person does the bare minimum. They show up, complete their assigned tasks, and go home. The other person studies the business. They learn new skills. They look for ways to improve systems, reduce costs, increase sales, or help customers more effectively. Which person do you think becomes more valuable over time? The answer is obvious. Value always rises to the top. And the people who continuously increase their value eventually become impossible to ignore. They get promoted. They get recruited. They start businesses. They lead teams. And their income grows because their contribution grows. Here is another powerful truth that most people overlook. Your current income is largely a reflection of the value you have developed up to this point. That is not criticism. That is simply feedback from the marketplace. And the beautiful part is this: value can always be increased. Skills can be learned. Knowledge can be acquired. Experience can be built. Confidence can be developed. The most successful people I have met are not necessarily the smartest people. They are simply people who committed themselves to constant improvement. They made a decision early in life to become extremely good at something that other people needed. And that decision changed everything. If you want money to come to you more easily, stop asking, how can I get paid more? Instead, ask yourself, how can I become more useful? Useful people are always in demand. Useful people never stay unemployed for long. Useful people attract opportunities that others never even see. Now I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine that every day you improve your value by just 1%. You read, you learn, you practice, you develop new skills. You become slightly better at communication, problem solving, leadership, creativity, or service. 1% better every day. At first the difference is small. But over time, the compound effect becomes extraordinary. 1 year later, you are not the same person you were before. 5 years later, your abilities may be 10 times stronger than they once were. And when your ability increases, your earning potential increases as well. This is not theory. This is exactly how high earners are created. They invest in themselves. They treat their skills like assets. They build their value step by step. Let me share another observation from decades of studying successful people. Wealth tends to flow toward people who make other people's lives better. Think about the products and services you use every single day. Someone created the phone you use. Someone built the apps you rely on. Someone designed the systems that deliver food, transportation, communication, and entertainment to millions of people. Those people did not become wealthy because they chased money. They became wealthy because they created solutions. Solutions create value. Value creates demand. And demand creates income. This is the formula that governs the modern economy. So if you truly want money to come to you, focus your energy on creating more value than anyone expects. Do more than you are paid to do. Solve problems before someone asks you to. Improve things that others ignore. Look for ways to make processes faster, simpler, or more effective. The people who practice this habit consistently eventually stand out everywhere they go. Managers notice them. Clients trust them. Partners want to work with them. And opportunities begin to multiply. But I want to be honest with you. This principle requires patience. Value is not built overnight. In the beginning, it can feel like you are giving more than you receive. You might work harder. You might study longer. You might push yourself when others relax. But something powerful is happening during that time. You are building personal capital, skills, knowledge, discipline, reputation. And once that capital reaches a certain level, the results accelerate rapidly. Suddenly promotions appear. Better offers arrive. New doors open. And people around you begin wondering how you became so successful. What they do not see are the years you spent quietly increasing your value. The truth is simple. Money follows mastery, and mastery follows commitment. If you commit yourself to becoming exceptionally good at something that improves the lives of others, money will eventually find its way to you. Now I want you to think deeply about this next idea. Your greatest financial asset is not your job. It is not your savings. It is not your investments. Your greatest financial asset is your ability to create value, because that ability can generate income anywhere, in any country, in any economy. Jobs can disappear. Companies can fail. Industries can change. But if you are a person who consistently creates value, you will always find opportunities. That is real financial security. And that is the mindset I want you to begin developing starting today. In the next part, I'm going to share something even more powerful. I'm going to explain the specific habits that transform an ordinary person into someone the marketplace cannot ignore, and why the people who practice these habits eventually attract wealth almost automatically. But before we continue, I want to hear from you. What is one skill you are currently working on that could increase your value in the future? Write it in the comments. Your answer might inspire someone else to start improving their life today. And remember this, if you focus on becoming valuable, money will eventually focus on you. Let me continue with something that may challenge the way you currently think about success. Over the years, I've met thousands of people who desperately wanted financial freedom. They wanted more income, more security, and more control over their lives. But most of them made one critical mistake. They focused on opportunity before they focused on preparation. And that almost always leads to disappointment, because opportunity without preparation usually passes you by. But when preparation meets opportunity, something extraordinary happens. Money begins to move toward you almost naturally. So the real question is not, where is the opportunity? The real question is, am I the kind of person opportunity is looking for? Think about that carefully. Companies are constantly searching for people who can solve problems. Entrepreneurs are constantly searching for people who can create results. Customers are constantly searching for people who can improve their lives. The world is full of opportunity, but opportunity is selective. It flows toward competence. It flows toward reliability. It flows toward people who deliver results consistently. That brings me to the first habit that separates high earners from everyone else. They become extremely good at one thing. Not average, not decent, extremely good. discovered early in my career that the top 10% in any field often earn far more than the remaining 90% combined. Why? Because mastery creates demand, and demand increases value. When someone becomes exceptional at solving a particular problem, people begin to seek them out. Employers compete for them. Clients trust them. Partners want to collaborate with them. And their income grows not because they demand more money, but because the market rewards excellence. Now let me ask you a direct question. What is the one skill in your life that could make you truly valuable if you mastered it? For some people, it's communication. For others, it's leadership. For others, it might be sales, technology, design, strategy, writing, or problem solving. Every industry has one or two core skills that determine success. And the people who dominate those skills dominate the rewards. The beautiful part is this: mastery is not reserved for geniuses. Mastery is usually the result of deliberate practice. It is the result of repetition, study, feedback, and improvement over time. If you spend an hour every day improving a critical skill, you can become better than most people in your field within a few years. That is not speculation. That is mathematics. Another habit that attracts money almost automatically is responsibility. Successful people take responsibility for results. Unsuccessful people look for excuses. This difference might sound simple, but it has enormous consequences. When you take responsibility, you immediately gain power. You stop waiting for conditions to improve. You stop blaming the economy, your boss, your background, or your circumstances. Instead, you ask one powerful question: what can I do right now to improve the situation? That question alone can transform your life because it activates your creativity. It activates your problem-solving ability. And most importantly, it puts you back in control. Let me share something I learned. After years of observing leaders and top performers, the people who rise fastest in any organization are the people who solve problems without being asked. They notice inefficiencies, they fix mistakes, they suggest improvements, they volunteer for difficult challenges. While others wait to be told what to do, they move forward. And when managers notice someone who consistently takes initiative, something interesting happens. Trust begins to grow, responsibility increases, and with responsibility comes with influence, recognition, and higher income. In other words, money follows responsibility. The more responsibility you are capable of handling, the more valuable you become. Now there is another habit that is even more powerful, yet surprisingly rare. It is the habit of long-term thinking. Most people think short-term. They ask questions like, how can I make money quickly? How can I get results immediately? How can I avoid effort? But successful people ask a very different question. They ask, what actions today will create the greatest rewards 5 or 10 years from now? That single shift in thinking can separate an average life from an extraordinary one. Because the most valuable things in life take time to build. Skills take time. Reputation takes time. Expertise takes time. Trust takes time. But once those things are built, the rewards can multiply rapidly. Think of it like planting a tree. At first, there is nothing visible. You water the soil. You take care of it. You wait. But beneath the surface, roots are growing. And one day, that small investment becomes something powerful and strong. Your personal development works the same way. Every book you read strengthens your thinking. Every skill you practice strengthens your ability. Every challenge you overcome strengthens your confidence. These investments may not produce instant rewards, but they build a foundation for future success. Now let me talk about something that many people underestimate: reputation. Your reputation is one of the most powerful assets you can ever develop. When people trust you, opportunities appear faster. When people respect you, they recommend you to others. When people know you deliver results, they want to work with you again and again. And here is the key point. Reputation is built through consistency, not one great performance, not one impressive achievement. Consistency, showing up prepared, doing what you say you will do, delivering quality, work again and again. When you become known as someone who can be trusted, your value increases dramatically. And when your value increases, your income potential rises with it. Another principle I discovered after many years in business is this: money moves toward people who communicate well. Communication is one of the most valuable skills in the world today. If you can clearly express ideas, influence decisions, explain solutions, and connect with people, you immediately increase your value. Think about it. Sales requires communication. Leadership requires communication. Negotiation requires communication. Teaching requires communication. Even innovation requires the ability to explain ideas effectively. This is why people who speak well, write well, and present ideas confidently often earn far more than those who cannot. And the good news is communication is a skill that anyone can improve. You can practice speaking, you can practice writing, you can study persuasion and influence. Every improvement in communication increases your ability to create value for others. And that value eventually turns into opportunity and income. Now, let me share a powerful mindset shift that can change the way you approach work forever. Stop thinking like an employee. Start thinking like an owner. Even if you work for a company, even if you are just starting your career, think like an owner. Ask yourself questions like, if this were my business, how would I improve it? If this were my company, how would I serve customers better? If my income depended directly on results, what would I do differently? This mindset changes everything because owners focus on value creation. Owners focus on growth. Owners focus on long-term success. And when you bring that mindset into your work, people notice immediately. They see someone who cares, someone who thinks strategically, someone who wants to improve the entire system. Those people become leaders, and leaders naturally attract greater financial rewards. But there is one final habit in this section that I want to emphasize strongly. It may be the most important habit of all: continuous learning. The world is changing faster than ever before. Industries evolve, technology advances, new opportunities appear while old ones disappear. If you stop learning, you eventually become outdated. But if you commit to lifelong learning, your value continues to grow year after year. Some of the most successful people I know read every single day. They listen to educational audio programs. They attend seminars. They ask questions. They stay curious. And because they keep learning, they keep improving. And because they keep improving, the marketplace continues to reward them. Now imagine combining everything we've talked about so far. You develop mastery in a valuable skill. You take full responsibility for results. You think long-term. You build a strong reputation. You improve your communication. You think like an owner. And you commit to continuous learning. What kind of person do you become after 5 years of living this way? You become someone the marketplace cannot ignore, someone businesses want, someone customers trust, someone opportunities chase. And when that happens, something interesting occurs. You stop chasing money. Money begins chasing you. But there is still one critical piece missing from this entire conversation. Because even people who develop valuable skills sometimes struggle financially. Why? Because they misunderstand one powerful principle about how money actually flows in the real world. In the next part, I'm going to explain that principle. And once you understand it, you will see exactly why some people with average talent build extraordinary wealth, while others with incredible ability remain stuck. Before we move on, I want to ask you something. Which of the habits we talked about today do you think is the most important for creating long-term success? Type it in the comments. Your answer might help someone else realize what they need to start working on today. And remember this as we continue. If you focus on becoming the person who creates the most value, the rewards eventually become unavoidable. Now let me share the final piece of the puzzle. Because by now you understand something very important. Money follows value. It follows skill. It follows responsibility. It follows people who solve meaningful problems. But there is one more principle. That determines whether money flows slowly or whether it begins to multiply in powerful ways. That principle is simple. Value must reach people. You can be incredibly talented. You can be highly skilled. You can work extremely hard. But if the value you create does not reach enough people, your income will always be limited. This is one of the biggest financial lessons I learned in my life. When I was younger, I focused almost entirely on improving myself. I studied, I learned, I developed skills. But my income did not really begin to grow until I discovered how to share my value with more people. The moment your value begins to scale, your income can scale with it. Think about it. If you help one person solve a problem, that is valuable. But if you help 1,000 people solve the same problem, your value multiplies. If you help 1 million people, your value becomes extraordinary. This is why authors, teachers, entrepreneurs, creators, and innovators can generate massive income. Their value reaches large numbers of people, and the marketplace rewards that reach. This does not mean everyone needs to start a giant company or become famous, but it does mean you should constantly ask yourself one powerful question: how can the value I create reach more people? Maybe that means improving your communication. Maybe it means sharing your knowledge online. Maybe it means building systems inside your company that improve results for many customers. Maybe it means creating products, services, or ideas that solve problems for large groups. The principle is the same. The greater the number of people you help, the greater the financial reward tends to be. Now I want you to think about something else that is equally important. Money loves efficiency. If you create value once and it helps people again and again, that value becomes incredibly powerful. For example, a book can help millions of readers. A piece of software can serve millions of users. A powerful idea can influence millions of minds. The person who created that value may have worked extremely hard in the beginning, but the impact continues long after the original effort. This is why many successful people focus on building systems, ideas, or solutions that continue creating value over time. Instead of trading hours for dollars, they create something that keeps helping people long into the future. And when that happens, money begins to move differently. It becomes less about effort and more about impact. Now let me be very clear about something. None of this happens without discipline. The world is full of people with great intentions. They want to learn. They want to improve. They want to become valuable. But wanting is not enough. Action is everything. You must make a decision, a real decision. A decision that starting today, you will invest in your growth consistently. You will improve your skills. You will develop your thinking. You will look for ways to help people more effectively. And you will continue doing these things even when progress feels slow. Because the truth is, success rarely happens suddenly. It happens gradually and then suddenly. At first, the progress feels invisible. You are learning, practicing, improving quietly. But over time, those improvements begin to compound. Your confidence grows. Your abilities strengthen. Your reputation expands. And then one day, people start noticing. They start asking for your help. They start recommending you. They start opening doors that were once closed. That is when many people look at you and say something interesting. They say, "You're lucky," but you know the truth. It was never luck. It was value. It was preparation. It was the daily decision to become better than you were yesterday. Now I want to talk about something deeply important before we finish. Your mindset about money matters. Many people secretly believe that money is difficult, complicated, or reserved for a small group of people. But money is simply a tool of exchange. It flows toward people who provide value in the marketplace. Nothing more, nothing less. When you shift your thinking from how do I get money to how do I create more value for others, everything begins to change. You stop feeling desperate. You stop chasing quick rewards. Instead, you focus on becoming someone who contributes meaningfully to the lives of others. And contribution is the foundation of prosperity. Let me share a simple formula that has guided my life for many years. Learn more so you can do more. Do more so you can contribute more. Contribute more so you can earn more. This sequence is powerful because it keeps your focus where it belongs, on growth and service. When you grow, your abilities expand. When your abilities expand, your contribution increases. And when your contribution increases, the marketplace naturally rewards you. Now imagine what could happen if you followed this path for the next 5 years. You read every day. You improve your key skills. You take initiative. You solve problems. You help people. You build a reputation for reliability and excellence. Where could your life be? The answer is almost impossible to predict because growth compounds. Small improvements lead to larger opportunities. Larger opportunities lead to bigger responsibilities. And bigger responsibilities lead to greater rewards. But the journey always begins with a simple decision. The decision to stop chasing money and start building value. Because once you truly become valuable, something remarkable happens. You are no longer dependent on luck. You are no longer dependent on a single job. You are no longer limited by your past. Your value becomes portable. You can create opportunities wherever you go. And when that happens, money becomes a byproduct of the value you bring into the world. So if you remember nothing else from this message, remember this one idea. If you focus on becoming the kind of person who consistently improves the lives of others, if you commit yourself to mastery, responsibility, learning, and contribution, if you work every day to increase the value you bring into the marketplace, then money will begin to move toward you, not because you chased it, but because you became someone worth rewarding. And that is the real secret behind long-term financial success. Now I want to leave you with one final question. If you're truly committed to increasing your value every single day, starting today, where do you think your life could be in 5 years? Think about that and write your answer in the comments, because your future income is not determined by where you are today. It is determined by who you decide to become starting now. Remember this: become more valuable, help more people, solve bigger problems, and the money will come on its own.